Hello, folks. Welcome to the Scumdogs Kennel. I'm your host, Chris Williams, and I have another great show planned for us. We're going to be asking if aliens are cryptids. But let me go off and show some artwork off from my own upcoming graphic novel, Scumdogs, okay? Artwork off from my own upcoming graphic novel, Here we are, this. Okay? And as I was saying, here we go. Let me get some more artwork up for us, okay? All right. Wait a minute. Oh, no, yeah, I should have not. Let me do that again. This. Get that here. All right. All right, here's my extreme 90s cover. It looks pretty good, huh? This cover I did to harken back to the comic books of the 90s. Looks pretty good. Now, the title of my book is Scumdogs. It's about supervillains trying to take over the world. You see, in the future, there was such a thing known as the Scumdog sports. They're called scum and dogs because they trade in their humanity. They compete in sporting events with superhuman athletes or superhuman monsters as athletes. They get these they're called scumdogs, as I said, because, well, they're scum for trading in their humanity for the power. But they want money and glory and stuff like that. You get the idea, not the nicest bunch around. So, and these were the pro athletes. So think of today's pro athletes only with superpowers and you get the scumdogs. But what happens when these guys get banned from sports? Well, my guys decide to try and take over the world. It's a funny idea. I thought it was a good idea. They continue calling themselves Scumdogs because why not? Might as well use that as the name of their organization. Let's see. My two main characters are Deathmug and Buick Starpoon. Deathmug is the purple guy with the metal mask, and Buick Starpoon is the guy with the pink pompadour hair and the green and white uniform over there, or in the green uniform. Deathmug is a parody of various villains from 80s cartoons. As you can see, he's got aspects of Cobra Commander and Serpentor from G.I. Joe, because like Cobra Commander, he has a metal mask, and like Serpentor, he's got gold on him, and he's purple like the Shredder from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. While his archenemy, Buick Starpoon, the guy with the pink pompadour hair, he's a G.I. Joe parody. In fact, everyone on this cover with a similar uniform to him is part of his team in the Space Forces. Buick Starpoon is basically a parody of Duke from G.I. Joe. But he's also a parody of such guys as, James T. Kirk, Captain Kirk from Star Trek, as well as Buzz Lightyear and Buck Rogers, those kinds of space hero kind of characters, because he's part of the Space Forces. But because he's a G.I. Joe parody, he has a military specialty. Buick Starpoon's specialty is that he's a captain in the Space Forces. He captains a starship. The other guys on part of his team in the Space Forces are over here. This guy with the mohawk, his name is Roadhog. His military specialty is that he's an army guy. While this bald guy with a gun down here in the blue uniform, his name is Blast Tank. His military specialty is that he's another Marine. While this guy back here in the red uniform, driving that vehicle, shooting its weapons, the guy in the red uniform right here, his name is Blast Tank. His military specialty is that he's a heavy vehicle specialist, a tanker. He drives a tank or heavy vehicles like a tank, or big vehicle. He drives tanks and stuff. You get the idea. Now this cover is one of 3 different variant covers you'll be able to back when my Indiegogo goes live. Looks pretty good. Now let's go over here. Here is Girl Friday. Girl Friday is another member of the Wild Rangers. The Wild Rangers is the name of Buick Starpoon's team. His team, that's the name of Buick Starpoon's team in the Space Forces. Get that right. Yeah, as I said, she's a member of the Wild Rangers, the name of Buick Starpoon's team in the Space Forces. She's a second in command. She was placed in second command of the Wild Rangers because while the Wild Rangers go out and fight the Scumdogs and save the universe, they're just idiots who destroy everything around them. So her superior is getting tired of all the of all the yelling and screaming by their bosses and stuff like that, that they assigned her to, well, they assigned Girl Friday to the Wild Rangers as Buick Starboon's second command to basically try and rein them in and babysit them. And she hates her job because she feels like her career in the military is over and that she's now just a babysitter. Come read about her in my graphic novel when it goes live, okay? It's not live yet, but it will be eventually. By the way, folks, hit that like button. For me, it helps me fit the algorithm so more people can see my content, as well as hit that bell and hit the part of the bell that gives you all future notifications for my videos, as well as share this video out on Twitter and Facebook. Here we have Death Mug's henchman, because you know in all 80s cartoons, the villain of a cartoon would have henchmen to do his bidding. These are Death Mug's henchmen, and well, they're total idiots. The blue guy with the top hat is Murder Mouth, and let me say that again. The blue guy with the top hat is Murder Mouth, and the pink guy down here is Sloppy. They're a couple of idiots that can't possibly do anything right, and they're going to be funny as they're fun as hell when you read about them. So look out for my graphic novel when it goes live. Here's Hair Metal Doctor. Hair Metal Doctor is a parody of Dr. Mindbender from G.I. Joe, a mad scientist. But my mad scientist has been crossed over with a hair metal musician, so I thought that'd be awesome to have him as one. He thinks of all the mad machines and gadgets the scumdogs use to try and take over the world, and he looks awesome. That's Hair Metal Doctor. And here we have Miss Breasty Melons. Miss Breasty Melons is a parody of the Baroness from G.I. Joe, but unlike the Baroness, she's a party girl who wants to have fun. She only became a villain because she thought she'd have a great time, or rather a fun time. Looks pretty good, huh? Now, the Hair Metal Doctor pinup and the Miss Breasty Melons pinup will be included within my graphic novel with other pinups when you go back it on Indiegogo. It's not live yet, folks. But I will also get these pinups out to you on T-shirts free from Crypto Fashion. I will get these pinups to you on T-shirts from Crypto Fashion as soon as I'm able to make them. Okay, you look out for those as well. Now we looked at this stuff. Let's exit out of these. Now we're going to be looking at our cryptids, or from outer space. Are the things we see and we think as aliens, these grays and stuff like that, are they actually aliens, or are they something like demons? We don't know, but it's fun to speculate, isn't it, folks? Bianca Zombie, outer space, yes. Did I put outer space? I thought maybe I should have. Maybe I need to fix that. I was sure that's how you spelled outer space because I put it in a thing like that and like that. It doesn't matter. If it's wrong, I'll just rename my live stream later on and stuff. Either way, thanks, Bianca Zombie. It's supposed to be outer space. I thought that was how you spell and stuff like that, because the spell checker, when I tried to say outer space, basically put it out like that. So maybe I got it wrong. Either way. But thank you for bringing that up if you're watching and stuff. I was just trying to get the name out here as quick as possible. Oops. Let me exit out of this. All right. I got that there. Let's go look at some stuff. Bizarre encounters with creepy pale humanoids, much like the Greys. So let's look at this story, and we'll ask ourselves, what are we actually seeing? Of all the unsettling denizens, the paranormal that could pop out of the darkness, one of the odder has to be the face of humanoid creatures beyond description, eluding all attempts to characterize. These grunt, hunched-over specters seem to flaunt the fringe of reports of the mysterious and supernatural, and I've covered them before here. To some extent, there are countless such reports coming from people from all walks of life and from all over. Here is a selection of various reports of spectral, deathly pale beings that are humanoid to some extent, but most certainly not human, circling out past the boundaries of the truly odd. One witness brings us the story of an anonymous Reddit poster who says he had a very spooky encounter in 2006 in rural Arkansas in the United States. He claims that this happened when he was only 12 years old, that he had lived in a modest house nestled in around an acre of land out in the out in the woods, surrounded by dim woods and its only tendril to the outside world, an unpaved dirt road meandering off through the trees, making the whole scene even spookier is the alleged fact that there was a big old abandoned slaughterhouse somewhere back in the wooded area, as well as the remnants of some burned down house owned by anonymous parties long since gone. Whether this had anything to do with what was to come or not, the witness described the whole area as rather mystical and special, as well as odd in general, and that his encounter would happen one evening when he went out to lie down on the outside trampoline after an argument with his parents. It was just him and that big sky with a full moon framed within it, and he says of what happened next. So I'm lying on the trampoline, and other than the moon, there isn't any lights outside from the porch light, which is a ways beyond me. All of a sudden, I regularly see something move. It's coming from the lot across from the dirt road, and it's coming towards me. We had a Boston Terrier at the time, and we at first figured it was him, but it got closer. I knew that's not what it was. It was sickly pale. It walked on all fours with hands put, but seemed to be able to walk upright. It's kind of galloping toward me on all fours, and it's a little bit a ways at this point, but getting closer. The light bounced off its skin, and it almost seemed to look wet. Its great in color is pretty clear to me, but I don't remember anything distinct about its face, except that it just seems to be whitewashed to me. It's happening so fast, and now it's right near me, still running, and then I can't see it. It's under the trampoline, and then I feel it push up on the trampoline. I didn't even bother to look back as I went into the house. I don't remember my thought process at all past that point, but my mom has told me that I came into the house hollering, absolutely terrified. Sounds like the Dover demon, doesn't it? White entities or shadow people. Black or white. It's very weird that these creatures come in those two colors, isn't it? There's all the talk about shadow demons and stuff like that, as well as white creatures like this. What could it be? Totally black or totally white? Weird. It is. I've thought about this constantly over the years, and as I've gotten older, have gotten stories of similar creatures I used to describe as looking like golem. I think of the creature kind of fondly in a way. It would never have occurred to me at the time, but it almost had a playful vibe to it. It makes me sad to think that it's just some lonely but semi-intelligent creature, maybe a grotesque experiment or some off-kilter evolutionary line. I don't think that's impossible. I guess I like to let my imagination run wild with it, though I will always be curious about this and the place in general. It's hard to know how much stock to put into Reddit reposts. There are sure a lot along the same lines. Another poster at Reddit Paranormal gives his own freaking encounter for which he even supplies photographic evidence. This supposedly happened 2012 at an undisclosed location at a close-knit community. In our rural area, surrounded by dim woods laced with smallest scenic trails, the witness says that he has 2 horses were kept on the property, which was near his home, and which he would visit every day to care for and ride around through the peaceful scenery. One evening, he had a startling experience as he rode one of the horses, on which he would say, "One evening around 5 p.m., I was sitting on her, letting her stand when she started snorting and backing up. I looked up and saw this white-gray creature crawling out of the woods towards us. It had a very small, round head. Its eyes were just pits. It had a very small mouth. Not much detail there. Its just arms were very long, thin, fingers also like that. Rib cage was very pronounced and defined. Its legs were long and lanky. Its movements were jerky, not smooth and fluid. It slowly jerked out to us. When my horse turned and bolted out of the arena, she's a dead, broke calm, well-mannered horses who never spooked before. This stubborn old mare, but not spooky. She would not go back into the arena that night. I walked her around the barnyard, staying near the main barn, put her up, and ran out to peek into the arena to find nothing except some footprints where I saw the thing. This would not be the end of the sightings of the odd creature. As witness says, it would lurk around the dark periphery of the property all through that summer, often peeking around the gate that led out into the woods. On one occasion, he saw it running along the other side of the fence, keeping up with him and the horse. It was eerie, to be sure, and the witness continues. I continued seeing it mainly in the woods, but it was always around summer 2013. Barn shut door. Owner died. We moved the horses to a friend's place for the time time, and I didn't see it there. Late summer, fall 2013, I found a new barn woods directly behind the barn in Arena. This place had lights and it was much newer. About a month later, when I was getting ready to leave, I heard something in the woods. I looked down the barn eisel into the woods and saw the creature running down the road into the woods. I saw it much less frequently for a while until later in 14, I began seeing it in the back pastures woods. I darted in and out of the tree line. I saw a second one sitting in a neighbor's yard. It would sit in the same spot every day and watch me ride. Started taking pictures, which are very poor. Any pictures? Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, look at that. Yeah, they're bad. Yeah. And sent them to a friend who claimed he had some others have seen it, kept seeing it. Well, seen occasion. Well, kept seeing it, but from a much greater distance than all at the first barn. I went with this barn owner to another farm to get some stuff. When I saw a very, very large version of this creature run out from the woods to right behind a tree I was 10 feet from, while he was alone by the trailer. Last November, I have sat for the barn owners. I went out around 2 a.m., filled water through in tufts, and enjoy the full moon and cool night. I was sitting in the back pasture when three of the creatures began coming from the woods. One came up to the trees near the tuft. When the other two were walking along the tree line. The horses were silently munching their hay. Pretty far from where the creature were. I messaged the guy from earlier and told him that what was going on since the incident. I did see one outside. Since the incident, I haven't really seen them last summer. I did see one outside my house staring into the window a few weeks ago. One was outside my bedroom window, tapping and making a strange faint sound. Unfortunately, the pictures don't really seem conclusive at all, and we were left to wonder just what was going on here. Anything at all. Another red poster gave his own report of a strange occurrence of a rural country house. He was 15 years old at the time. He was apparently in his bedroom on a very dark night, and he was about to close the blinds to the window when he caught a glimpse of a pure white, almost man thing leering at him from the next to a nearby pine tree. He had described what happened. It was crouched down in a Spider-Man pose. I believe it had larger black eyes, not like something you see from the Greys, but it was a feature that stood out to me. It was very muscular. I distinctly remember seeing well-defined arm muscles. It seemed very muscular in general. It wasn't too thin. It was just strong-looking. I don't know how tall it was because it was crouched down, looking up at me. I don't remember if its head appeared larger than an average human's head, but I remember it was very bald. I saw this creature. I screamed for my mom. She came to the window and saw something that startled her too and ran downstairs to our back porch and yelled, "Who's out there? Come out." I remember standing behind my mother, nervous with fear. We went back to my room and looked out the window, and it was gone. I have this weird feeling that someday I'll see it again. Not sure why, I just feel it. A very similar report from posted on the National Cryptids site was given by a witness in the Midwest United States. The report, again, concerns pale humanoid things wandering around the dark outside our windows in the middle of nowhere, and the witness says, "When I was in 6th grade, I looked out at the living room window and saw a white reflection. My mom grabbed a flashlight and looked out the window. She could see some of the white animal crawling around on the ground in the clearing by her house. It was approximately raccoon-sized, white, and apparently able to get to the window. Next morning, before sunrise, I was letting my dog outside. He ran out of the garage door and began barking and growling, completely out of character for him. I stepped around the door frame and saw an approximately 5-foot tall pale being with 2 huge eyes and some form of round glowing item where a mouth or nick might be. My 6th grade self screamed, turned, and ran back inside, leaving my mother and dog out to fend for themselves. By the time my mom figured out what happened, I calmed down enough to come back out. The thing was gone. To this day, I'm terrified of the woods surrounding their house. At night when I visit, I leave for sunset or have someone walk me to my car. It has been over 15 years. I would also like to add that I don't believe in aliens or aliens, ghosts, or anything, but I have no clue what these things were. You don't believe in these things, huh? You don't think they're anything like that? Aliens or ghosts. If you saw a shadow person, would you say the same thing? White, black, it doesn't matter whether... Jeez, what strange things, huh? What if they had an alien spaceship? What are these things, and what do they want? Was this a ghost, an alien, sort of unidentified animal, or what? Our next account was provided by the Phantoms by a website, and was supposedly happened at Big Bear Lake, California, in 2017. The witness claimed she had just checked into a Best Western motel in the area just after midnight and was going to her car to get her luggage when she had the fright of her life. According to the witness, very dark and was cold and snowy, with her just wanting to get her stuff and get out of the cold. She says it had been snowing and was extremely dark. My car was facing a country road when I hit the unlock button on my car. The parking and interior lights are on. This allowed me to see two eyes reflected in the middle of the road, about 10 to 15 feet from me. At first, I thought it was a deer. I lived in Colorado, and I'm accustomed to seeing wildlife. I instantly stopped and remained still, as I don't want to scare off the what I thought was a deer, and my eyes glanced downwards. I noticed it wasn't a deer. It looked like a white, hairless, naked man on all fours. It was at least 4 feet in height, on all fours, probably around 15 feet if it stood up. There was a brief moment. Yeah, another story about these large creatures as well. If it's not Bigfoot being basically 8 or 10, 15 feet tall, it's one of these creatures. The same goes for shadow people. What's with these creatures that are so big out there and we don't see them? If they were just 8 feet alone, that would be terrifying, but damn. And the fact that we can never find these creatures or capture any of them, that is that is truly strange. There was a brief moment as our eyes made contact. Then, as quickly as I have ever seen any animal, turned around and ran as fast as a cheetah away from me, and then straight up a tree. I was frozen in disbelief. I said out loud to myself, "You have to be flipping kidding me." Well, you have to be, just flipping kidding me. Just as I was going to convince myself that this couldn't possibly be happening, it leapt from the treetop to treetop, and I could see its full outline as it did so. The speed, strength it had is like nothing I've ever heard of before. The creature was definitely solid. It appeared as if it was coming toward me, possibly hunting me. I don't know what stopped it. Was it the lights that went on? I had no visible genitalia. It had a very human-like qualities. None of this makes sense to me. The speed, agility of the creature, and there shouldn't be any way that the treetop should have been able to hold the weight of the creature. It appeared to be flashing like a TV going on and out of reception as it sprinted up the tree. And it also didn't appear to disrupt the foliage as it did so. Could very well be some sort of weird creature. Yeah, very, very weird. Besides hanging out in the shadows and woods of rural properties, similar paral-humanoids have been encountered on roads as well, where the lines come flickering out of the gloom to go racing back into the night. And I report the July 15th, 16 episode of Coast to Coast AM. A caller named Nate gave his experience while driving along a desolate road in rural Illinois. Says that he is a truck driver, a profession that has numerous brushes with the paranormal. And on this night, he was heading east on 180 through Illinois. He would tell Coast to Coast. Oh, that is. Was he talking to Art Bell? I'd stayed the night while afternoon Des Moines to get some sleep, and I got a flash before 8 hours of sleep, and I had just gone on the road. It was about dusk, and sun was just about to set. I was driving, and I seen a figure just ahead of me, 180, and the road was 180. Well, the name of the road was 180, and it was right on the side of the road. When I say right on the side of the road, I don't mean in the grass. Its toes were right in the white line. It slowed down a little bit to kind of, I slowed down a bit to kind of get to see what it was, and maybe avoid it. When I got about 50 yards away from it, I got down to my about 50 miles per hour, and I could see it clear. I had my brights on and everything. It was a man. Well, it looked like a man. Maybe 5'9", 5'10", couldn't have been more than 100 pounds soaking wet. And when I got up to him, he looked at me, and George, I could kid you not, he had no eyes, no mouth, no nostrils. There was no orifice. It sounds like he met a no-face from Japan. A lot of them sound like no faces. No faces are a monster in Japan that has no features on its face. Usually they have human clothing, but usually when you walk, they usually pull this practical joke on you. you'll see a no face and you'll run off terrified, and then you'll encounter another person. You'll say, "Ooh, I just saw a no face. It was horrifying, man. It had no face." And the guy will look away from you for a moment or something like that, and then he'll say, "Did it look like this?" And then he'll turn your head to them, and it'll be the no face. This sounds a lot like it. This. He had no eyes, no mouth. And let me get back. Yeah, he had no eyes, no mouth, no nostrils. There was no orifice on his face. Was pale white, no hair, no features whatsoever. There was it looked like a skeleton with bleached white skin. He was just kind of staying there, looking right at me. I slowed down, and as soon as I seen his face, he looked up at me. Boy, I flipped the hammer down from Illinois all the way to Chicago. I never looked back. My blood ran cold. My hair stood up. Was one of the most disturbing things I've ever seen in my life. Another such account was reported on Reddit by a witness who says his frightening encounter happened Christmas night, 2007, Lakeside Community in rural upstate New York. The festivities have worn down at around 8 p.m. The witness took off in his car to a friend's house. The place was only about 10-minute drive away, and the night was clear. So there would have been no reason to suspect that anything would have happened in such a quiet, peaceful place. But things would quickly take a turn into the weird. He would say of this following encounter: "As I drove, I noticed what looked like someone walking up ahead on the opposite side of the road, coming in. Well, his direction, mind you. I was still going about 20 miles per hour the whole time, so I was probably less than a minute by the time the walker came into view. I got a quick scan of it from my windshield for my car, and it were exactly parallel. It was not a person. It stood on two long legs, long arms hanging down from its shoulders. It was strong-looking, lean, muscular, but not beefy in stature. It looked thin at the same time. It stood at least 7 feet tall. It was light-colored, not sure whether it was white, tan, or yellow, grayish. It didn't appear to have fur, but there was some texture to the skin. It wasn't smooth. There appeared to be something coming down off its back. I don't know what it was. All I can recall about its face is the small features it had. The mouth and jaw were noticeably large, and it had pointed things atop its head, two things going straight upward with something mingled between the two things. That's what I got from a quick scan. And from my observation as it neared my car neared it. As my car became parallel to it within a split second, I went from looking at my windshield to looking at it from my driver's side window. In that moment, its fist quickly peered down at me, and all I remember was the mouth opened wide out from a remarkable scream that I will never forget. Gives me the chills just thinking about it. It consisted of a high-pitched, shrill shriek enveloped by a deep guttural growl. Both sounds happened simultaneously in that scream. I kept driving all the while. This was all happened so fast that I didn't even have a chance to be scared or shocked or anything. I continued driving and went past my friend's house and drove home. Called him to tell him what happened and that I just needed to get back. I was probably running on adrenaline to get back home. Later on, I was in total shock. After it sank in, had my driver's side window been open fully, it would have touched me or worse, taken me. I'm certain of it. Another account from Phantoms and Monsters tells the story of a witness in Canada who at the time spent the evening looking out and talking with friends until the wee hours of the morning. 4:45 a.m., he decided it was time to head home and got back into his truck to begin the 45-minute drive back to his place. In between his friend's town and his town, there was reportedly a pitch-black forested area that took around 10 minutes. Wow. Yeah. At 4:45 a.m., he said it was time to head home and get back into his truck. He began the 45-minute drive back to his place. In between his friend's town and his own, there was reportedly a pitch black forested area that took around 10 minutes to drive through. And after almost hitting a deer on his way in, he decided to slow down and take his time getting through this tangle of trees. It would save the series of bizarre events that would follow. As they approached the exit of the forest, there is a left curve in the road and an adjacent dirt road with a white wooden fence laying it, going up a hill to what I would imagine would lead to someone's property home. As I was making the turn, I seen something. By the way, folks, hit that like button for me, as well as please go share this video on social media, as well as hit that bell, will you? Also hit the part of the notifications bell that will get you all future notifications for me. Let's go back over here just a moment. Checking notifications. No, not too bad. Let's get back to this. Let's see. Seen something in my headlights. Brights at the edge of the. Let's get right back to this article. At the edge of the fence, it was a tall, milky white creature with a bald head. Its eyes reflected black, clothless. Its arms and legs just as wide as its bald head. I seen it for a second or two, and it has made a move to drive behind the fence. I braked and backed up slowly and pointed my lights at the fence, looking for any kind of movement. I was parked on the highway, which was around 5 a.m. My heart was racing, and I didn't know why. I must have sat there for a minute before I calmed down and didn't see any movement and decided I better not go investigate, or maybe I'd become a missing person, continuing my journey home. So the only description I have of this thing is it's tall, pale and human-like features, but no noticeable hair or any eyebrows. Such entities, wondering just what any of these people could have possibly seen. Yeah, such entities leave us wondering what any of these people could have possibly seen. Are these ghosts, aliens, or just the products of adult, tired minds? There are numerous encounters that cover a wide spectrum of such pale humanoids beings, and as I've said, I have covered such reports. So are these related? What could we be dealing with here? Considering the very unearthly undertones of such reports, one might be inclined to think that most surely be aliens. After all, how could something so innately bizarre as these pale, encroached monsters be anything of this world? One possible explanation for the pure outlandishness of these stories is that they are some sort of interdimensional entities or trickster spirits that, for whatever reason, find themselves here for infallible purpose and agendas. It was an idea championed by such esteemed paranormal researchers as Joku Riley, John Keel, and Keel himself would once say of such bizarre beings that seem to defy any conventional classification. One basic fact should be obvious for the foregoing. These entities are things that are not necessarily from some other planet. They are actually closely tied to the human race, are a part of our immediate environment. Some eventful fashion, and to a very large extent, are primarily concerned with misleading us, misinforming us, and playing games with us. Is this what this is? Are these entities from beyond the fringe of the odd that are, well, paying us a visit to taunt and, the odd that are paying us a visit to taunt and manipulate us to inscrutable ends? How else can we explain these totally otherworldly reports and their crouched pale distance of our nightmares? How else can we possibly fit any of these accounts into our reality? Yeah, how can we? It's all very strange, and we have creatures that look very much like aliens here. Let's find some other articles and stuff like that talking about these creatures. Bizarre accounts of pale crawlers. It could be another thing. Strange encounters of mysterious living blobs. Bigfoot as an interdimensional interloper. There's another thing. Bigfoot's been known as a cryptid, possibly an alien. We could look at that, or I could look at, as I said earlier, it could very well be that as well. Let me go over here. 33 minutes in, not doing too bad. If you haven't yet, folks, please hit that like button. Maybe I'll go over here. Maybe I'll look at shadow people. It's just maybe black-eyed kids. The First Kind, Fact or Fiction. The Kelly Chillins, An Encounter with the Shadow People. Have I read that before? UFO, Aliens, and the Paranormal. Let's see this. Hotspots of paranormal activity, haunted sanatoriums, asylums, and hospitals. What are the signs of alien abduction? We could look at that as well. Let's see for one. Could look at that. Let's see down here. Maybe black-eyed kids, and maybe look for more like that. Let's try shadow people over here. Come on. All right, let's do that. Shadow people, Mothman and the Making of a Monster. Taking a look at the sinister shadow people. Suppose there were photos of shadow people. Mainly because we looked at pale humanoids. Let's go for something in the opposite direction now. Black-eyed people are racing the shadows, lurking shadow people. Shadow people attack. Let's look at when shadow people attack. We're talking about are aliens cryptids or from outer space. We're talking about the various creatures here we see on this planet that people say are from other universes or stuff like that. Are they aliens from other universes, or are they from space, or are they actually creatures that originate on Earth? Are they real or not? The first thought that crushed Stephen Penner's 5-year-old mind that someone had broken into the house in Manchester, England, around 1986. Mother took me around the local estate to our friend's house. Pioneer said, I believe that she had been burgled because her entire kitchen was covered, and I do mean covered in big black handprints, almost animal-like. Right? He didn't say anything about the obvious black handprints, not until years later. I mentioned the incident to my mother. What I saw, she looked at me and said, nothing on the wall, Stephen. He didn't know how that could be. The prints were there, and his mother's friend said she saw shadows and the images of dark faces on the walls. His mother was immune. There was nothing on the walls from her point of view. From that point, dark images of followed Pinter. The animal-like prints he saw when he was 5 have turned into entities. I've seen a big black mask with red eyes always at my door. He said the Hat Man always at the background, and typical shadow people just like our shadows on a sunny day. These typical shadow people have become so commonplace to Pinter, he's given them a nickname. He says these Joeys, mostly in his dreams, are violent. Every time after this I've encountered these beings, I've always been in a sluggish state and able to see my body on bed. He said, always I've been chased. They have blocked my doorways and tried to scratch or make physical contact with me. Doctors have told Payton these dreams are caused by sleep disorder, but he knows they're not. When these entities appear to Painter, the room seems to buzz with electricity. He knows something is there. The situations are like out-of-body experiences. He said, I can see myself in bed. At 16, he dreamt he was outside being chased through his garden into the house and to his bed, then started to envelop him. I awoke, but I couldn't move. It felt like I just run from the London Marathon. I had a cramp in my left leg. More recently, he's discovered physical marks. Physical remarks? Physical evidence, huh? I have awoke usually feeling like I've been active all night. Muscle tense, aching from even fingers hurt. He said on 2 occasions I've had small scratches on my right side, always after an encounter. During these encounters, his joeys are the ones to approach him. The Hat Man simply stands in the background watching. None of these encounters, however, equal what Payton calls the attack. It was around 3 years ago. I went to bed as normal and got my usual pre-attack buzzing. When I fell asleep, he said the next thing he knew, he stood at the side of his bed looking at his body laying next to his then girlfriend. His eyes were frozen up, and I knew instantly what was going on and tried to wake up. I panicked because I could never seen myself like that and thought I was dying. Painter's dreams himself turned and saw 3 shadow entities in his room, 2 joys and the Hat Man. I'm now confused and scared more than usual. One of those shadow entities lunged at me. Painter, the other, reached out to scratch me. Scratch him. As usual, during this dream state, Painter's movements were slow, like he was moving underwater, but Painter, as jiu-jitsu instructor, fought these entities nevertheless. I've never done it before or since, but I went for them, and they put up no resistance. Said Painter wrestled with the shadow people, landing enough punches. They retreated behind the Hat Man. I then turned and around, and for the first time I saw a silver line like a tail almost from my back. And then I awoke, wet throat and heart going very fast. He could still feel the shadow beings' presence in the room, but he could no longer see them. Painter's fingers were sore from the attack. When he checked his face in the mirror, the left side of it bore a slap mark. Since the attack, and the encounters that occur every 2 weeks have changed. After the fight, all that they do now is circle me. He said that's like you or I would to an object we have never seen before. Painter can't accept the fact that these encounters aren't real. I've told it it's my brain. He says science tells me it's a fault with me, but my heart tells me it's not, and I don't know what the hell is going on? I'm 31 now, and I'm stuck with it, but I like an answer. He recently reviewed what when talking with an ex-girlfriend he's still close to. She told him these encounters aren't all in his head. A few years ago, I was in a hospital with a bacteria infection and was very ill. He said she told me something that she never had mentioned before, so this is the first time I ever heard of it. The night before she took Painter to the hospital, he lay in bed sweating with a fever. Painter began breathing heavily, and she leaned over to wake him, but when she did, she saw something she didn't expect. She caught in the corner of her eye a large man, a shadow that was lit by the street light. She blinked, but the shadow man was still there. She blinked again, and it was gone. Painter woke and said, "Did he scare you? Can't even stop while I'm ill due to high fever." Painter doesn't remember the night, but that incident convinced his girlfriend his stories of shadow man attacks were real. After that, he never believed what the doctor said to you. She told him that she always kept the lights. Well, yeah, I would keep the lights too. That was interesting, huh? We looked at that. Are shadow people aliens or what? They definitely seem to be attacking people. That was very strange. Let's go. Let's see. Go if I do this. Let's see some cryptid aliens. Could do outlandish encounters with reptilians now, I suppose. Looking for alien cryptids and talking about art. Are aliens cryptids, or are they from outer space? What is the reason for this? What could they possibly be, huh, folks? The truly bizarre world of encounters with real stick figures. I've heard about this too, about encountering weird creatures that are all like that. And why do they come in white and black? Is this what is with the fact of them being white and black as well? Then again, Bigfoot's brown for the most part, I've heard, so there's that as well. There's also other things where they're just light, where you encounter creatures that are just lights. So which with the colorings, if this is some sort of control mechanism, they make us see these things, and this is what this is what they actually look like. I mean, if are they actually pale entities like this, or shadow people, or are they somehow making us think we're seeing these things, and they're actually some kind of different kind of thing altogether, like an actual alien life form that looks like something we can't comprehend. And this is just something they basically make us see so we don't go insane. Could be, folks. Could very well be. 42 minutes in. Not too bad. All right. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see. Maybe try looking at. Trying to think here. I could look at the Dover Demon again. Wonder. Let me try something here. Let's see. Gateways to Hell. There's also the talk of about the Dogman. Why would there actually be Dogman? Could that actually be an alien itself? I mean, honestly, a good way that these aliens could hide themselves one way is by making them look like monsters from myth. Well, yes, the people would notice that, but maybe it's intentional. They want people to notice their bizarre forms, because if anyone told anyone else about it and they said they saw a werewolf, everyone else would think that person is insane, or at the very least discredit it, because how could a werewolf be real? Which was 1996 Vaughn episode. Hysterics are a cover-up. To this book, Unearthly Disclosure, which reveals speaking of the years immediately following the incident. Before we look at the encounter details, this might be interesting. Looks like some weird creature here. Is it an alien or what? The alleged sightings of alien creatures in various Brazil for a time captured the interest and imagination of much of the international media, even more so when witnesses' statements claimed Brazilian military had taken the extraterrestrial into their custody. Further claims soon surfaced of an apparent crash of a UFO, one which killed several of the occupants and forced those who survived to flee from the ruins of the crippled vehicle. All right. Could look at this. This guy's actually encountering an alien, or was it maybe the government itself had basically sent that UFO down there, and it was all just something staged? Could be that way as well, folks. Brazilian authorities, have steadfastly denied any involvement in the case. However, some researchers have continued to dig away at the claims, even when one of the witnesses allegedly admitted they had concocted the story. On this occasion, these suspicious researchers might be correct to pursue their interests. This sudden retraction by one of the initial witnesses, the events in the opening weeks of 1996, is just the latest in a long list of efforts to discredit those who wish to investigate these claims and in turn distance themselves and the truth from the public. Truth, huh? The South American continent is a hotbed of UFO activity and has been for a long time. And the incident in Virginia remains one of the most well-known and controversial of all the UFO researchers who have investigated the incident. Leading UFO author Timothy Good is one of the better communicated. He would dedicate an entire chapter to book Unearthly Discovery in 2000, was relatively speaking the years immediately following the incident. Before we look at the account in detail, check out the short video. Good look at that. Think it was real, folks. A demon-like creature huddled against a wall and stuff. Afternoon of 20th January 1996, at a little after 3:30 p.m., three young girls were walking together in Santana in the north of Virginia. Sisters Leanne and Aquila Silva, 16 and 14 respectively, and 22-year-old Katie, 22, came to an open and vacated plot of land and most remarkable sight in front of them. A strange demon-like creature huddled against the wall of abandoned cinder block building. Its skin was leathery brown and seemed to have a triangle-shaped head with large red eyes. Its limbs appeared... Okay, so it had leathery brown skin. That's new. So it wasn't pale, but brown this time. Okay. That's very weird as well. By the way, folks, let me go off for a moment. I'll be right back. All right, this is very strange. Now, okay, so it's not just pale creatures. Was this what they encountered actually a demon or actually an alien? We don't know. It was pale. It appeared naked as well. And why do these creatures constantly go around butt naked as well? Then again, it doesn't really matter. They don't have genitals, so it's not like they're going to get anyone pregnant or do anything really. So could they possibly be robots as well? It would explain why they're naked. It might look like skin, but it's actually just a robot with something covering them. Could very well be that as well. Let's see, for 8 minutes in. Let me go over here. Have you guys hit that like button for me? Not yet. If you haven't yet hit the like button, please hit that like button for me, will you? It really helps me fight the algorithm, as well as please go share this video on social media. Share it on Twitter, share it on Facebook, as well as, yeah, that's pretty good. Sorry to read this, folks. Not too bad. I could also look at some other stuff. Let me go over here for a moment. Let's take it on a bit. Now, come on, move. All right, 1965, bizarre year of truly bizarre interdimensional interlopers. Scary encounters, evil gnomes of Central and South America. Extremely bizarre encounters, surreal mystery humanoids. So could those be aliens? Bizarre sheep squatch, other truly bizarre mystery monsters. There's other things that could possibly be aliens. They say this thing with sheep squatch, this hairy animal-looking creature that looks sort of like looks like a combination of different creatures, honestly, if that's what it looks like. I could look at that. or I could finish off this article here. This article looks like we've seen this before. I just wanted to read about what this monster looked like, and we know that it was brown and it was naked. Okay, so not pale naked, but this is brown and naked. Okay, so there actually are a few different creatures. There's creatures out there that people have encountered, so that's also very strange as well. Maybe I'll get back to this in a moment. I kind of want to look at this article over here because stuff like that, because it looks interesting. I really have to say it really looks interesting. Let's go look at it while I have the time because we're running out of time. Let's at least what I can get of it. The world of cryptozoology with its sea monsters, Bigfoot, chupacabras, and other mysterious creatures of all shapes and sizes roaming the wilds of the world. And this creature could also be an alien as well, spawning some truly amazing tales. It's perhaps for some already fairly strange enough, yet while some of these alleged mystery beasts may already be pushing the envelope of the weird, and on occasion there are cases of strange creatures that go busting straight through that envelope, erupting into the realms of the truly otherworldly and bizarre, driving up past the boundaries of the oddity and the surreal. These are the puzzling creatures which are nearly impossible to characterize, summering to exist free of the established rules of zoology, biology, or even some cases of reality, and are truly unique entities inhabiting a domain unto themselves, even perhaps challenging our notions of what a cryptid even is, lurking up beyond the horizons of the strange perches of the very fringes of cryptozoology, is the weird world of some of the strangest, most outlandish, and indeed the most preposterous cryptids. Across a large swath of West Virginia, including Boone, Putnam counties, there is said to be a lurking, hulking creature, which is really hard to quite classify. Starting from around the mid-1990s, there began a string of sightings that was described as a white, woolly, bear-sized beast with a pointed head, topped by goat-like horns, a snouted face with long, white, sharp teeth, and a long, hairless tail, said to be reminiscent of that of an opossum. Often reported as accompanied by a pungent, sulphurous stench. Creature was at first called simply the White Thing and would later garner the name sheep squatch, although it bears very little physical resemblance at all to its more famous Sasquatch cryptid cousin, other than perhaps its size and hairiness. Oh, look at that. It's supposed to be what it looks like. The first sighting of this bizarre creature started coming in 1994. Perhaps the earliest were part of a group of women claimed that they had been driving along a treacherous icy road in the location of West Virginia known as the TNT area. They were cautiously inching along in order to not get into an accident. According to the witness, they were then surprised by a large creature which lumbered out of the woods in front of them, described as being around 7 or 8 feet tall, covered with shaggy white hair, with a pointed snout, ram-like horns, and human-like legs. This mysterious creature allegedly froze for a moment when the headlights hit it before running off into the dark forest. Soon after, Soon after the reports came, others came pouring in, and there were numerous sightings made in 1994. And when a county farmer and Navy seaman out hunting observed the same creature emerge from the forest to crouch at a creek to drink before continuing on its way. The witness claimed to have watched it for several minutes and said that it had human-like hands. At another account, a motorist spotted a tall, robust creature on a hillside that was covered in white fur that appeared to be like rags hanging off its body. And that very same year, there was another rather high-profile sighting made in Boone Country by 2 children playing in their yard. 2 children reported that a beast that looked like a white bear walking on its hind legs was making its way through the underbrush of the periphery of their property when their startled screams had sent it in a mad bolt through the forest, leaving a saplings and tree branches in its wake. Later reports of sheep squatch would take on a more threatening tone. 95, a couple was driving along when they spotted a white bear-like creature hunched over in a roadside ditch. When the couple slowed down to see what it was, the creature then stood up on its hind legs to reveal that it was no bear, but rather a massive beast with a horned head and oddly 4 eyes. The thing then allegedly dashed at their car in a fury, slashing and banging the side of the vehicle with great force before the terrified couple sped away. They claimed that when they reached their home, they discovered that the side of their car had displayed wicked scratches that looked like they had been made by claws. In 1999, there was another strange, frightening encounter when some campers heard what they first took to be the sounds of a bear running, huffing, and moving about in the darkness beyond their camp. Already a little spooked that a bear was in such a close proximity and not responding to be sounding to be in the best of moods. The campers were truly in for a shock when out of the brush came crashing a hulking white blue, which let out a blood-curdling, unearthly scream. Fleeing for their lives, the campers briefly looked back to see the sheep squatch standing at their camp, glaring at them. Allegedly, when the campers returned the following day, their campsite seemed to have been totally ransacked by a large animal of some kind. Yet another apparent attack by sheep squatch, an account outlined in 2013 episode of the TV show Monsters and Mysteries in America. Two hunters claimed that a giant furry white beast over 9 feet tall had let out an ungodly curling growl. Well, yeah, that was just a second. That was seconds before. Yeah, before it basically came running towards them in an aggressive manner. The most recent report of the sheep squatch occurred in 2015 when a group of 6 unnamed campers saw it while camping out in a place called Folks Run. One of the campers reportedly first saw the creature crouching menacingly atop a hill at around midnight, after which he went to warn the others. It was then that wherever it was stood to its full height, 8 or 9 feet, and started running down the hill towards their camp. Apparently, a river stood between the campers and the creature, but after trying in vain to find a way around it, simply waded right into the rushing waters to slosh towards them. By this time, all the campers had gathered up to watch the strange monster coming inexorably through the river towards them. When it emerged, they could see that it looked like a huge white bipedal dog dripping water from its soaked fur. The campers reported that there had been a shriek from out in the forest from something else, and this had apparently frightened the creature, which whimpered and slinked back off into the woods in apparent fear of or passiveness. One wonders what could have provoked such a response. Yeah, I gotta wonder what the heck that was talking about. As absurd as the sheep squatch may seem, it's not the only truly strange squatch-like beast out there. The swamplands of Lee Country, country Carolina, as well as sewers and abandoned tunnels of the area, are reported to be haunted by a large lizard humanoid that has become known as the lizard man or swamp. Or the lizard man of Lee County. It is undoubtedly a baffling apparition to be bipedal reptile of some sort, which stands around 7 feet tall, is covered in green scaly skin with occasional mentions of tufts of hair amongst the prominent scales, has 3-fingered clawed hands, sometimes described as being webbed in 3 toes, also with vulnerable claws, as well as a hideous face with fangs and large glowing orange eyes. There are occasional accounts that may make mention of a long tail reminiscent of that of an alligator, and the creature is said to be fairly aggressive. Perhaps the most well-known report, and the ones which launched the lizard man into public consciousness, that of local 17-year-old Christopher Davis in the dark early morning hours of June 29th, 1988, Davis was allegedly driving home from work on a lonely road near a scrap ore swamp just outside Bisville when he got a flat tire. As he was changing the tire with a spare he kept in the trunk, Davis heard a strange noise like thumping, which clearly stood out amongst the din of the buzzing insects and their swamp sounds of the night. When he turned to see what had made the, sound, he was startled to see a bizarre creature with glowing red eyes running at full speed across a nearby field towards him. With the distance between them dwindling rapidly, and sensing the thing had decidedly aggressive intent, Davis then retreated to the confines of his car in a panic, after which he came at the vehicle and violently grabbed the door handle. The terrified youth could see the deranged creature yanking at his door, now clearly from the neck down, and described it as having green scales and 3 large fingers with curved claws. The monster then apparently jumped into the roof of the car and attempted to pry the roof off with its bare hands before Davis sped off and somehow managed to jostle it off. When he returned home, Davis claimed that the door handle on his car had been seriously damaged and that there had been what appeared to be scratches and gorges on the roof of his vehicle, as well as strips of vinyl slaying that had apparently been ripped off. The boy's father would later take him to the Lee County Sheriff's Office, where he would relate the whole incident to a Sheriff Sheriff Thursdale. The report was undoubtedly unusual, but also intriguing, as apparently there had been a report of a few weeks earlier, July 14th, 88, that something large had badly mauled the car of an older couple named Tom and Mary, while Tom Wayne and stuff in the local, rural community of Brown Town. nearby, huh? Although it was not yet known just what sort of animal had done it. Nevertheless, the authorities were skeptical of Davis's dramatic story at first, but over the next few weeks, the further sightings of the lizardman in the area swamps started coming in. Many of these were seemingly credible sources, as well as more complaints of damage to cars, such as scratches and teeth marks caused by some wild animal, or even missing dogs and cats. Authorities investigating one of these reports were even able to obtain casts of odd three-toed footprints measuring 14 inches, 36 centimeters, length that were unable to be linked to any known wildlife. With the growing list of reports coming in, the sheriff's department came to the conclusion that there was probably something indeed running around spooking people and damaging cars, but it was probably a bear or coyotes rather than a giant human-sized lizard hybrid. In the meantime, the stories of the lizardmen prowling the swamps had provoked a media frenzy, with reporters and curious tourists flocking the area in hopes of getting a glimpse of the creature. Radio station even offered up $1 million reward for the successful capture of the beast, and there were the inevitable armed trigger-happy monster hunters showing up as well. The sharp spike in media interest tourism would start to fade in the light of the bogus sign made by airmen stationed at Shaw Air Base by the name of Kenneth, the name of Orr, who claimed that he had actually shot the lizard man and even presented scales and blood from the creature as evidence. Orr would later admit to making up the whole thing in an effort to maintain the tale of the creature and keep tourists coming in. Another incident involved a man dressing up as a lizard and running around trying to spook people at night. In light of these hoaxes, as well as the steadily dropping number of actual credible sightings, reports coming in, interest in the lizard men began to wane, and before long, the tourist and media attention petered out. Even so, the reports of the lizard men have occasionally come right up into the 2000s, such as a woman in 2006 claimed to see two large, scaly creatures with glowing eyes outside of her home in Newberry. Interestingly, the phenomenon of lizardmen is not confined to South Carolina. There have been similar bipedal humanoid reptilian creatures, all over the United States. Seen all over the United States, including the New Jersey Gator Man, the Ohio Loveland Frogman, and indeed such monsters have been reported all over the world in such disparate countries. Could be magical folk. If it's anything like that, it could be some sort of weird magical creature that we've never encountered before. India, South Africa, Canada. Let's see. Canada, Japan. There are India, Canada, Japan. India, South Africa, Canada, and Japan. There have been the rather far out theories that these creatures could represent some sort of surviving dinosaur. Yeah, they've been seen all over the world, huh? India, South Africa, and Japan. There have been rather far out theories that these creatures could, represent some sort of surviving dinosaur, the result of dinosaurs evolving along the lines of humans into a form similar to ours, or even that they are some sort of lizard-like aliens. The more likely explanation, at least in the case of the Orr Swamp lizardman, is that it was an attempt to play at the mysteries and marketing ploy to draw in tourists, perhaps mixed in with a little less hysteria. And indeed, when the TV show Destination Truth traveled to the area, to investigate, they were met with a deluge of lizardmen-related merchandise and came up with a decidedly faked footprint, leading to them come away quite skeptical about the whole tale. That's bad as well, isn't it? Yeah, I mean, they went there. They were met with a deluge of lizardmen-related merchandise and came up with a decidedly faked footprint, leading to them to come away quite skeptical about the whole tale. Let's move on then, shall we? Tells us something more bizarre than just sleep squatch and lizardmen came to us from the wilds of state of Ohio, where we have stories of an incredibly strange tribe of bulbous. Let me see how long this article is still to go here before we move on and stuff. I might come back to this article at some other time. Oh, this looks longer than I'm really prepared to see. How long have I been at this? 103. Not that bad. But we looked at what I really wanted to look for. Are these creatures that people encounter aliens? Or are aliens actually cryptids? Are they actually living creatures that live on Earth? Maybe they have advanced technology or something like that, or maybe they don't. But are they actually from outer space? Are cryptids aliens? What is the actual truth with these creatures? We don't know. But I'll definitely be looking out for such creatures, as well as looking for aliens out in the sky, folks. So keep looking for such things. And please, if you have any stories, send them to me. I'd love to have you. Send me stories on my send me links to me on Twitter. My Twitter handle is 666 Just a moment. Let me go over here just a moment to get my profile. That is, well, you can contact me on Twitter at 777megachris1. Send me your stories. I love to hear from you guys. Aliens, ghosts, whatever. But now, folks, I'm going to end my live stream. Please, folks, please go and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Read comics, they're bad for you, okay? If there is misspelled, hit that like button, as well as make sure you're still subscribed. Hitting that like button makes sure that more people see my content, as well as please go share this video on social media. Share it on Twitter, share it on Facebook, share it on Gab, as well as leave some comments down below. I love to hear from you guys. Yeah. Also, please go over to Stitch Together Picks. Stitch Together Picks is a YouTube channel that needs far more subscribers. He does some great content. You're going to love his reviews of movies. He has the character he plays on his show. He has multiple split personalities. So you're getting not just getting one thing. You're getting multiple characters. You're getting multiple people that are one hell of a great that make one hell of a great show. So go and subscribe to Stitch Together Picks, as well as go over and subscribe to Creepy Little Book. Creepy Little Book is like the Art Bell radio show. He does small videos talking about high strangers, but he also does live streams every night. On weekdays, he live streams at 12:30 a.m., and on weekends, he live streams at 10 o'clock p.m., as well as at 3 o'clock a.m. So he talks about aliens and ghosts. Go and subscribe to Creepy Little Book, as well as go over to rumble.com and subscribe to my Rumble channel. The name of my channel is Comic Freak, as well as go over to BitChute and subscribe to my BitChute channel. It is also named Comic Freak. Now, folks, I'll be back again tomorrow around 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock or, 8 or 10 for another live stream. Till then, folks, I'll see you later.